Hi, and so this week's Legion video, I want to focus on what the game is actually about. I wrote a little bit of a blog on this that sort of alludes to it on the website, but I look at Legion from the storyline point of view, and I have conflicting views on it. My instinct is looking at it and thinking, this is very, very epic. This is too epic. But I did have a similar feeling before. Now, let me first of all explain what I mean by too epic. We're having this huge assault by the Legion for the third time in Azeroth's history. The last one wasn't all that long ago as well. It's really weird. And you think to yourself, what are we actually going to do? At the end of Legion, what are we going to be fighting? It can't just be, or it's not likely to be just a nameless boss. And then you think about it, well, who can we fight? They're not going to have us fight Sargeras, not realistically. But who is it going to be? We've already defeated Kil'jaeden before in the Burning Crusade. We didn't kill him. We stuffed him back down his hole. But we defeated him. He was the end of instance boss then. We have defeated Archimonde twice. They're certainly not going to give him another. I mean, he wasn't the end of instance boss in TBC because that was Kil'jaeden. He's been the end of expansion boss, I should say, sorry, now in Warlords of Draenor. So who we're going to get? We're going to have to get a major lore character, surely, from the Legion. There are no more, though. The only three major lore, well, the major lore characters, I suppose Manroth, but he's not ultra powerful in the whole scheme of things. He's just a famous pit lord, but there's plenty of other pit lords. And of course, we've had him as well. We've done him. He's been done over twice in parallel universes. So what are we going to get? And I just think it is very, very epic. And it's also reminiscent of the Prophecy of Valen, I should say, sorry. And now, for those who aren't aware of that, Valen, who is the chief of the Draenei, basically. Now, before the Draenei became Draenei, Draenei means exiled one, so before they had to leave their home planet of Argus, there were three leaders of them. There were Kil'jaeden, Archimonde, and Valen. And Sargeras appeared to them and wanted to help them. It's a bit of it's a story ripped directly out of Lord of the Rings, but with Sargeras basically being Sauron, and Valen was the one who sort of saw him for who he was, and Kil'jaeden and Archimonde were the ones who were won over, and so Valen escaped with a load of his people. Now he has this prophecy that Anduin, Varian Ring's son, the current Prince of Stormwind, will be leading an army of the light. Actually, well, it appears, I mean, this is a bit vague, into the Twisted Nether, certainly actually launching an assault straight at the Burning Legion. Now, this, I'm not suggesting this is going to happen towards the end of this expansion, but it could, you know, and this is, it all very much sounds, they can't keep bringing back the Burning Legion, but at the same time, it does seem to be our enemy now. And the thing that sort of sparked this thought off in my head is something Ghostcrawler said. Ghostcrawler, for those who don't know, used to be one of the lead developers, a role now taken over by Watcher. He works for League of Legends now, but he's still sort of, people ask him stuff about World of Warcraft, and he still sort of engages with the community like that. And it was just a comment he said. He just said that he views the game as being about orcs versus humans, because that's what it started off with. And yes, it was. It was Warcraft, orcs versus humans. Warcraft 2 was also really about orcs versus humans. It brought a few other races in, but ultimately the fight was between orcs and humans. Warcraft 3 opened it out. Completely opened it out. But I would say World of Warcraft, for me, has never been about orcs versus humans. Never. From a PvE perspective, maybe from a PvP one, you could say, well, because there's much more of an Alliance versus Horde feel about it. In PvE, though, it's never about that. Either there is no Horde and Alliance dimension to it at all, or when there is, it's the Horde and Alliance working together. Even Siege of Orgrimmar, at the end of Mob, which from an alliance point of view could feel very much like it's an orcs versus humans type dimension to it, because the horde you were attacking was basically just an orc horde. There were no other races really in it. Goblin every now and then. But but it wasn't, because the alliance and the horde were teaming up against Garrosh's little horde. It wasn't the horde, was it? So I would say that the game is actually about the Burning Legion. The only way you could actually make it anything like orcs versus humans is to have separate PvE content, dungeons and raids for alliance and horde. Now obviously they're not going to do that, because that's twice as much work, unnecessarily as well. So what do you do instead is you need a third protagonist. And that protagonist has always been the Burning Legion. Everything. Because Warcraft 3 was about the Burning Legion. And everything that sort of came as a result of it was to do with the Burning Legion. The orcs invading Azeroth in the first place was devised by the Burning Legion. The Scourge and the Lich King were tools they were created by the Burning Legion. Illidan going bad again was the Burning Legion. It was all interwoven within that story. So I would say World of Warcraft is about the Burning Legion. So whenever you have an expansion that ramps up the fight against the Burning Legion, you start to think to yourself, this is sounding really, really epic now, and it sounds awesome for the expansion itself, but then you think, so what's going to follow it? You know, and people are talking about the possibility, and it's entirely possible. People have been talking about for ages that we might get like a Naga-based expansion, Queen Ashara coming back to the fore. Entirely possible. You know, and actually holding this around the Broken Isles very much leads into that possibility. It could well be a Naga-based expansion afterwards. But would it feel as good? Would it feel like a bit more of a letdown if they make this expansion super epic? And I don't see how they can, or how they can't, I should say, because I'm thinking they've got to give us something really big for the last boss. I just don't see it being Kil'jaeden or Archimonde, because we've done that. We've been there. All right, we've only done Kil'jaeden once to Archimonde twice. Maybe it'll be Kil'jaeden again. I'd be disappointed if it was. But as I say, counterpointing that fact is the fact I've had these fears before and it was absolutely fine. When I was doing Wrath Beta, I remember going around and thinking, because I remembered back to Vanilla, and you did all these quests, especially in Dwarven lands, and Alderman was particularly the case, where you're learning about the lore of the Earthen and ultimately Titans, because the way you went through the story in Vanilla, it's like the people didn't even know the Titans exist. They knew the history, but it was like a myth. It's not like we know Titans exist. It was like there's evidence maybe for them, but they're a bit of a myth. And then you go to Northrend, and there's no doubt at all there's Titans. You've got these Titan constructs wandering around the landscape. You've got these huge Titan buildings and things. You're in absolutely no doubt whatsoever that the Titans exist. And then, of course, you've got the Rarden fight again. So I thought to myself at the time when I was doing Wrath Beta, this is too epic now. It's just too epic. We've got too much in here. We've got Titans and we've got old gods and we've got, you know, the Lich King himself's going to die. And what's going to come after it? What have we got left? You know. But years later, it's still going strong. Not as strong, but it's still going strong by any measure. So perhaps these fears are completely unfounded. But it is something that concerns me. So I just thought I'd throw that out there at the moment, because the storyline does matter. I know Blizzard do try and tell a coherent story through expansions as well. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, what's going to come after next that'll get us hyped? You know, especially if Legion is really, really successful. I mean, we've got two types of hype for Legion. One is that all the stuff that's in it sounds really good. And the other is people are thinking, well, it can't be worse than what can. It's got to be an improvement on that. But what about the next one? How are they going to build up even more excitement about the next one if Legion's really good and delivers on everything they say it will? So anyway, I'll leave you with those thoughts. Until next time, I'll see you later.